2012. Putin wins presidential elections amid massive falsifications. People go to the streets, resulting in the largest anti-Putin protest in the history of Putin's Russia. Approximately 150,000 of people protested in Moscow against the election results, which showed 63.6% of votes in favor of Putin, according to the Central Election Commission. Among the protesters were well-known oppositionist Alexei Navalny, who is right now in jail and was tried to be killed, poisoned, Ilya Yashin in jail, Boris Nemtsov, assassinated not far from Kremlin, 2015. From the start of the protests, the government claimed that they were organized from abroad and that they reflect foreign influence. And to combat this alleged foreign influence, Putin presented a foreign agents law. So what is this law about? This is what I'm going to tell you in this video. Initially, only non-profit organizations could be labeled as foreign agents, primarily those involved in political activities and receiving financial support from foreign countries, organizations, citizens, or even international entities. So basically, if you receive any financial support from outside of Russia, you are a foreign agent. These non-profit organizations were obligated to, firstly, register themselves with the Ministry of Justice. Secondly, regularly provide detailed financial and expenditure reports. And thirdly, submit audit reports and label their publications both online and in the media, stating that the materials were issued or distributed by a nonprofit organization acting as a foreign agent. Individuals have to self-identify themselves as foreign agents, otherwise they would receive penalty. So now let's just imagine. For instance, you created a movement to aid victims of domestic violence. And by the way, Russia has no law on domestic violence. So you received a donation from, say, an American citizen who herself or himself had experienced domestic violence and wanted to support such initiatives worldwide. The Russian government might consider this against their principles. As the saying goes in Russia, if he beats you, it means he loves you. Therefore, the Russian government decides to designate your movement as a foreign agents movement. They will demand that you will file an application with the Ministry of Justice declaring that you are a foreign agent. In this declaration, you must provide extensive information about your organization, all accounting reports, reports on your activities and events, the organization structure, the area of all your activities, all members and participants, funds received from abroad, all bank accounts where you receive money and donations, the purposes for which these funds will be spent. Even if you received help in the form of consultation or technical assistance, you must declare it. The law even speaks of aid received in quotes, other forms. In essence, they could scrutinize anything. Let's say you called a friend in a neighbor country. Kindly mention it in the organization's report as a consultancy assistance, or you will be fined. Moreover, once a year, you must send all this reporting to the medias for publications. Officials and workers of such non-profit organizations which are considered as foreign agents can either be fined up to 300,000 of rubles or otherwise be put to jail up to 2 years. This requirement applies only to organizations involved in political activities and receiving funding from abroad. July 31st, 2012. Vladimir Putin. Small advertisement of my Patreon page, which I recently updated. Here on my Patreon page right now, you can see different categories of memberships. If you sign up for a Gopnik tier, you'll be able to live chat with me, and usually I reply firstly to Patreons, then emails, Instagram, or anything else. Also, you'll have your early access to new videos. Usually I publish 1 day before it's going to be published on YouTube. Once a week, there's also going to be live streams specifically, exclusively for Patreons, and your names are going to be mentioned in credentials in the videos. If you decide to go with the Intelligentsia membership, you'll get exclusive videos from me. It's going to be either some content related to my daily life, maybe vlogs, or some exclusive videos on Russia only for Patreons. There's also going to be articles I read and find interesting, and I'm going to be sharing them in my Patreon for Intelligentsia. And moreover, I'll be uploading highlights from live streams over there. But if you decide to sign up for Oligarch tier, you will get not only all the perks of being a Gopnik and Intelligentsia, but also you'll get an opportunity to have a call with me for about an hour to discuss anything Russia related or life related. You will receive a personal thank you video and a postcard from me. You will also get a chance to offer a topic for a new video. Thank you everyone who supports me on Patreon right now. The link is going to be in the description below if you want to sign up. But we continue to learn about this Russian foreign agents law. The first organization recognized as a foreign agent was human rights activist organization Memorial in 2014. Memorial was established back in 1989 during the late Soviet era by the nuclear physicist and Nobel Prize winner Andrei Sakharov. Memorial was dedicated to commemorating the victims of political repression in the USSR and aiding citizens whose civil rights had been violated. Another organization which was one of the first one to consider it a foreign agent was a human rights association Agora. Pavel Chikov, the head of Agora, connected this decision to the active human rights advocacy, stating that being included in the foreign agents registry alongside Memorial is an honor. At the same time, foreign agents were formally given the possibility to challenge the decision of Justice Department. However, in practice, for 8 years after this law was created, none of the foreign agents were able to change the decision of the court back. The law certainly needs improvement. It's not perfect and probably doesn't correspond to the present day in some respects. Undoubtedly, it needs amendments because some things contradict the original purpose of what was intended to be done. Putin, October 24th, 2014. In 2015, the Ministry of Justice added 79 non-profit organizations to their registry of foreign agents. Among them were Dmitry Zimin's Foundation, Dynasty, and Liberal Mission. The founder of one of the biggest Russian phone carriers, Beeline, immediately announced the termination of their funding. He said, "My money is kept abroad. I never hid that. But Russia also keeps its money abroad." In 2016, the description of so-called political activity for which a non-profit organization could be recognized as a foreign agent expanded. Apart from organizing and conducting mass events, such as gatherings, rallies, demonstrations, the Ministry of Justice proposed considering election monitoring as political activity too. So basically, if you are an organization that is involved into watching how true are elections, how real are elections and looking for falsifications, you are doing political activity, which means that you can be recognized as a foreign agent. Mikhail Fedotov, the head of the Human Rights Council under the Russian president, criticized the changes. We wanted to clarify the concept of political activity, but as a result, we've clarified it in a way that now any public activity can be considered political. According to Deutsche Welle, from 2013 up to 2021, at least 200 non-profit organizations were considered as a foreign agent. Among those 75 that still remains on the registry, let's see what they do and why are they considered as a foreign agents. 15 of them were involved in human rights protection. 14 of them were involved in civil education, 8 in fighting HIV, 7 in supporting independent medias, and 7 in help of the people in need. Now just listen to the names of those organizations which were involved in this list of foreign agents. Tomsk Regional Public Organization for the Protection of Women's Rights and Interests, called Women's Voice. Association for Assisting and Protecting the Rights of Conscripts, Alternative Servicemen and Servicemen, called Human Army Law. Autonomous non-profit organization Nizhny Novgorod Center of German and European Culture. Ivanovo Regional Public Organization Center for Gender Studies. Autonomous non-profit organization called Institute of Law and Public Policy. Non-profit organization Anti-Corruption Foundation. Inter-Regional Professional Union of Health Workers called Doctors Alliance. Krasnoyarsk Regional Public Organization We Are Against AIDS, and the Foundation for Protecting of Prisoners' Rights. By the way, in September 2016, one of the most reputable and well-known research center and poll center, Levada Center, was also recognized as a foreign agent. In 2017, Putin signed a law which allowed to recognize mass medias as foreign agents. The document was developed and approved literally within just 10 days. The initiative was a response to the demand by the US Justice Department for Russia Today in America, a branch of a Russian TV company, to register as a foreign agent in the United States. And indeed, US has a similar foreign agents law. I believe that in Russia, we can have a law similar to the one that was adopted and has been effected in the United States since 1938. Why did they protect themselves accordingly from foreign influence and use this law for decades, while we in Russia cannot do the same? Putin, July 31st, 2012. In June 2021, Vladimir Putin made a rather detailed comparison of foreign agents law in Russia and in the United States. In an interview with the American TV network NBC, when asked about dealing with dissidents in Russia, he replied, "It's not our invention. Back in the 1930s, the law on foreign agents was adopted in the United States, and it's much tougher than ours, aimed also at preventing interference in the internal political life of the United States. And overall, in general, I think it's justified in Russia." So let's compare the American Act, Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, with the Russian law about foreign agents. Indeed, it was adopted in 1938 and involved mandatory registration for organizations and individuals engaged in political activities in the US while associated with foreign governments. The reason for its adoption was the activity of emissaries from Nazi Germany. Later, FARA was applied during the McCarthy era when every leftist intellectual was seen as a communist agent. However, since then, the law significantly changed. In 1966, amendments were made that shifted the focus. Now the law speaks not of any political activity but primarily of lobbying organizations or individuals that effectively work with foreign states and aim to gain economic or political advantages for their clients by influencing the decision-making of the government. The American law contains two important terms. The first term is an agent, the one who acts, and the second one is a foreign principal, in the interest of whose the agent acts. In the current version of FARA, it is stated that an agent is someone who is directed, controlled, or financed entirely or predominantly by a foreign principal. This is a significant difference from the Russian law. For instance, the election rights protection movement Golos learned from the court documents that it was included in the list of foreign agents because of a bank transfer of 200 rubles, which is equivalent to $3, and it was a transfer from an Armenian citizen. Among the reasons for being included as a foreign agent, employees of the media outlet called Project mentioned reposts of publications from other foreign agent medias. So just reposting news or posts from another foreign agent making you also a foreign agent. In the latest publication of Russian law about foreign agents, the formulations are highly vague. Foreign influence is understood as providing support and or exerting influence on a person, including through coercion, persuasion, and or other means. Support, according to the same law, is providing a person with the funds or other property. So formally, even those 200 rubles from that Armenian citizen is considered as a foreign source of income. But it's not even that important right now, because in law it literally states that an organization can be called a foreign agent even if it didn't get any kind of material support, only for being influenced. What does it even mean, being influenced? While the law doesn't really state, doesn't really describe, you are influenced. As Putin once said, you are the people who have America in your minds, who have the Western mentality, but you live here. So I guess by watching American movies and cartoons growing up in Russia, you become a foreign agent by the logic of this law. By 2023, all independent medias of Russia were designated as foreign agents. In the corresponding list in the United States, only the TV channel Russia Today, directly connected to the Russian government, as well as Chinese TV channels and the state news agency Xinhua are listed as foreign agents. In Russia, like in the United States, significant fines are imposed for non-labeled content, but unlike American norms, this applies not only to organization websites, but also to any social media or products such as books and magazines. For example, in 2019, the Human Rights Center Memorial was fined for 1 million rubles for lacking labeling that they are foreign agents on their social media, which are Facebook and YouTube. In February 2023, the first criminal case was brought for repeated failure to comply with the obligations of a foreign agent. These obligations include thorough financial reporting and labeling of any public activity, including social media posts. Finally, in the Russian law, there is an Article 11 dedicated to limitations related to the status of a foreign agent. Foreign agents cannot hold government positions, are deprived of opportunity to participate in electoral commissions, organize public events, or teach in the state and municipal educational organizations. In the American law, there are no such restrictions. The only thing that coincides the American and Russian foreign agents laws is the maximum penalty, up to 5 years imprisonment. I agree with you that there is nothing good in the list of foreign agents. This law was not invented by us, but by a country that everyone considers as a beacon of democracy. The law was adopted in the 1930s, but that's not important. What matters is that it is in effect today. In some places, there are criminal penalties for this. We don't prohibit their work, but we want them to declare the source of their funding. Putin, December 23, 2021. But let's return how law on foreign agents developed. In 2019, the Ministry of Justice of Russia was allowed to declare individuals foreign agents if they work for foreign agent media outlets or if they distribute materials from these outlets or participate in their creation while simultaneously receiving funding, any kind of, from abroad or from the foreign agents themselves. And what does it mean? Well, it basically means that any user of the internet who shares the information, the posts, the news of foreign agent media outlet is a foreign agent himself or herself. I don't even mention the journalists who themselves work for those medias. They are considered as foreign agents automatically by law. Those who are recognized as foreign agents are obligated to register a legal entity to submit reports and label their publications with this famous sign that must be placed prominently and in large font. This message, material, is created and or distributed by a foreign mass media outlet acting as a foreign agent and by a Russian legal entity acting as a foreign agent. And oh my gosh, I see this so often. Every time I watch another interview of one of my favorite interviewers, Yuri Duz, at the start of the video for half a minute, they say this and Yuri Duz pronounces it himself with his voice. As for individuals, what are we talking about? When all related to organizations receiving money from abroad and essentially engaging in domestic policy arose, every state, I want to emphasize this, make efforts to limit foreign intervention in internal political affairs. So our law is aimed precisely at that. It is known, he who pays the piper calls the tune. That is what Putin said, answering a criticism towards the foreign agents law. In 2020, the Ministry of Justice for the first time included individuals and not organizations in the list of foreign agents, and among them were human rights activist Lev Ponomarev, Radio for Europe and Radio Liberty, journalist Lyudmila Savitskaya, chief editor of Pskovskaya Gubernia Denis Kamylagin, Daria Apakhonchich. And those were recognized as foreign agents who plays a role of a mass media. So that's like a whole separate category. But later, there was another category created of just individuals who play a role of a foreign agent. They don't even spread information. They are just being foreign agents. For being considered for them a foreign agent, they had to be involved in political activities. And political activities included observing elections, participating in rallies, and even posting on social media about Russian politics. When I speak about these laws, about non-interference or attempts in the interference, what do I mean specifically in relation to Russia? Many structures of the so-called civil society. Why do I say so-called? They are financed from abroad. Corresponding action programs and prepared activists undergo training abroad, and when our official structures see this, in order to prevent such interference in our internal affairs, we adopt appropriate decisions and laws, and they are milder than yours. We have a saying, don't blame the mirror if your face is crooked. Putin, 14th of June, 2021. On April 23, 2021, my favorite Russian independent media, Meduza, was recognized as a foreign agent. Over the summer of the year, the registry, which was rapidly expanding, included, for example, journalists from the ProAct publication, including editor-in-chief Roman Badanin, members of the Important Stories team led by Roman Anin, the TV channel Dost, and many other media outlets and individual journalists. Later, lawyers and members of the Human Rights Association Team 29, led by Ivan Pavlov, who assisted defendants in cases involving violation of public order, were included in the registry of foreign agents. They were the ones defending journalist Ivan Safronov. This was the first case in the Russian practice when lawyers were recognized as foreign agents. Following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia and tightening the repressive laws within the country, the amount of foreign agents started to grow rapidly. Specifically, the first individuals, not like organizations or journalists, started to appear and to be designated as foreign agents, and right now there is a list of 313 of those individuals who are recognized as foreign agents. Many notable public figures, oppositionists, journalists were involved in this list. For example, interviewer and journalist Yuri Dudь, political scientist Ekaterina Shulman, politician and blogger Maxim Katz, local deputy in Moscow Ilya Yashin, and the journalist Irina Shikhman. In May 2022, the Ministry of Justice even added to the list of foreign agents a rapper Morgenstern, who had like a feat with Lil Pump, and it was so funny to me. And literally, the only reason they added him to the list of foreign agents because in his very first song after the war started, he mentioned that he is against the war. It is really funny to see the names of like Ilya Yashin or Maxim Katz, and next to them a rapper Morgenstern in the list of foreign agents. Prior to this, another rapper Face was added to the list. Other figures from the rap industry such as Oxymoron and Noise MC were also designated as foreign agents. Comedian Maxim Galkin was also labeled as a foreign agent. Basically, publicly taking an anti-war position not only threatens you with all those felony articles about discrediting the Russian army or spreading the fakes about Russian army, but also having this label of a foreign agent. Now, to become a foreign agent, it is sufficient to fall under foreign influence. This encompasses not only financing, but also persuasion and certain other actions, which are not really described in the Russian law. New prohibitions for foreign agents have been introduced. Now, foreign agents cannot teach in schools and universities, work in the civil service, be members of election commissions, or organize any public events, including protests. Additionally, they are banned from receiving state funding, participating in state purchases, and investing in strategic Russian enterprises. Among children, materials created by foreign agents cannot be distributed. In 2023, a similar bill to the foreign agents law in Russia was attempted to be passed in the parliament of Georgia, a small post-Soviet country located in the Caucasus region. The pro-Russian government of Georgia is trying to crack down independent medias who do not agree and criticize the government for trying to align with Russia. Former Russian oligarch and one of the friends of Putin, Bedzina Ivanishvili, who in fact controls politics in Georgia, was trying to have this law to stop criticism towards himself. However, it sparked a big protest. I myself actually been a part of this protest. I went there to support my friend and to make sure everything is going to be fine with my friend at the protest. I myself got tear gassed, had to run a little bit from the police, but I already got the experience protesting in Russia when the war started, so it was not that traumatic to me. I even managed to give an interview to one of the medias that were making a documentary about this whole protest. The law on foreign agents was adopted in 2012 after the massive protest because of massive falsifications at the elections to the president, which favored Putin, and he became a president because of those falsifications. Over more than 10 years, this law has become an ultimate tool to oppress dissidents, independent medias, and just individuals who do not agree with the politics of the Russian government. A vast majority of independent Russian medias had to be either closed or relocate their stuff outside of Russia. This law is an analog to American FARA. However, the way it is implemented is really different. Now I just wait myself, when will I be recognized as a foreign agent, and I will be really honored by this title of the Russian government. As usual, it was me, Zach the Russian. Don't forget to check out my Patreon page. The link is going to be in the description below. Thank you for watching this video. Peace to Ukraine, freedom to Russia.